All right. Hey everyone, I'm David Room. We're back with some more work tonight on the Orbits UI and related functionality in my retro space combat game project. Um, yeah, was going last night, stopped a little earlier than I wanted to, but there's a few nice little sort of cleanup tasks, and maybe if we get to it, kind of pushing some of the simulation stuff a little farther ahead to do more rigorous testing of the orbit stuff. Just some good code cleanup, some kind of nice, chill, relaxing stuff that should still look kind of cool. So um, I'm gonna get some white bat audio going. I'm feeling like a little bit more of a drive tonight, so we're gonna go back to the dark synth plasma mix from white bat audio. Let's get started. Okay, so just to show what we worked on, actually I can fix something right off the bat here. Get this screen resolution going here. Okay, so we've got our nice Orbits UI that we can look at, interact with, and just some kind of obvious things that I want to start fixing here are some unit stuff. So as we're starting to deal with larger distances due to the orbital mechanics stuff, we want to move away from meters and start using kilometers. I started cleaning some of this stuff up for the orbits MFD here, but we're still using meters for our sort of main targeting stuff. Not super useful. And yeah, it could be better. There's some other stuff too here, like this velocity I think would be maybe more useful if it was the relative velocity to the reference point. Although if we do that, it would be probably good to show the absolute velocity somewhere else. We want a button or a key for turning the orbital visualization on and off, because this is not something we want on all the time. And yeah, just some other cleanup. I've got some other notes, so we're gonna just dive right into that. So we've got a question in the chat from Quentin1561. He says, how do you go about burnout when being a game dev? Okay, so that's a really good question. Now, I'm just a hobbyist game developer, so this is not my job. In my day job, I'm a we call myself like a software research engineer, and I do a lot of work with computer vision, machine learning. This is kind of what I do for fun. And so it helps. So burnout's tricky. So sometimes you experience something like burnout that happens for reasons that are out of your control. And in that case, there's not necessarily a lot that you can do to like do something differently. Like if you have deadlines at work that you have to hit. For me, since this is a fun project, I just try to keep it fun, and I try to think, okay, this is just a fun project, so how do I focus on the parts of it that I enjoy? I like to plan, I plan things, so I plan what I'm going to work on very carefully, and I let myself work on things that are interesting to me, and I change it up a lot. And then just doing things like getting good sleep, taking walks outside, doing other things like that. trying to live a balanced life, you know, engaging in other hobbies, even if it's for just little bits of time, really helps a lot. So if you have more specific questions, I can talk more about that for sure. I've been working as a software engineer for about, actually, let's see here, started in 2012, so it's going on, yeah, going on like 14 years. So I've done it as a job for a long time, and I do a lot of programming in my personal time. So it's something I've been doing for a while, and I've, you know, struggled with burnout here and there, but I think just living a balanced life is key to preventing a lot of that. So somewhere in here is going to be the distance text here. Let's see here. So this was originally in meters. And let me just take a look at, I've got a list here off screen. There's some other things that we're going to try to work on. Okay, so let's see if this fixes it. I think this actually will fix it a couple of different places here. Yeah, that fixes it here, and it should fix it in the targeting bracket too. Yeah. And I mean, 1/10 of a meter, that's, you know, or 100th of a kilometer, I mean, that's 10 meters. So that's I think that's a pretty good resolution for a game like this. Okay, so we can cross that off the list. I suppose another thing we could do is we could think about changing these meters per second velocity units to something like kilometers per second. But I don't know how important that is right this instant. Another thing I was thinking about is I should put units on these forces. And then I was also thinking about changing these units to G's instead of. So I'm just going to take some notes about that. Let's see here. Units, forces. And I think the angular acceleration should be in degrees. Oh yeah, angular acceleration, I have like meters per second. That's not meters per second. That should be, I believe that's degrees per second. Let's actually fix that quick on that gauge. Here, so that's going to be Excel C gauge. So this guy, gauge AC. Yeah, this is angular acceleration, so that's supposed to be degrees per second squared. Because that is, yeah, this is should be in degrees. There's this G's conversion here. We can update these to G here in just a second. sure this looks like we want it to look. And let's see if that, yeah, see, that's like, it's a number like 180, and actually that, we don't need that 0.1, it's 0. Whoops, wrong one. Okay. And actually, let's just pick something in the mission so we start out with the right target. Cycle target. I think we want to cycle it backwards once. Yeah. So we want to one. Yep. Okay, so that's where we want to start. Cool. Okay, we can get rid of some of these printouts here while we're thinking of it. Okay, so and oh, nice. Doug Wise is here. He says back-to-back streams. Hopped in a little late. Still catching up. Nice. Yeah, I didn't get to go quite as long as I wanted to last night. I kind of got a crazy random headache, and there's a bunch of just little kind of UI cleanup stuff here that I'm trying to do. So, now let me look here. So another thing that we've got to do here at some point is there's too many controls. So I've got to think maybe about having this control screen key instead of just toggling it on and off. Change it to cycling so we can have like flight control and then like a subsection, because not everything fits. And let's see here, we've got mode, just trying to see, we've got traces, MFDs. I'm just wondering, I think I could probably use, do these do anything? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and there's a couple of bugs I gotta fix too. So I gotta fix, there's a little bug with the time acceleration thing, and just some little message cleanup stuff to fix the message when enabling, or yeah, when turning on drift. So yeah, so the yeah, I think F12, I think we're gonna make F12 be the orbits activate and deactivate. So let's get that going, because we want to be able to turn that on and off. Okay, let's see here. But I've got a nice system here where if I can go ahead and fill some of this stuff in right away, then I kind of never lose track of it. Let's toggle. And then what happens too is it uses the same help thing to show that key, like when I press it, so I can see what function I should be expecting when I press a key. But let's see here, F9, yeah, this will be just F12. And then we'll handle it here. Let's toggle. It's going to be something, just pop it right here. Control state. Game.HUD dot solder MP dot set. That's interesting. Why does the sphere stay visible? Oh, I bet I know it's... That's strange. Okay. This might be oh, okay. Yeah, there's some priority stuff going on here that I've got to handle correctly to get this to work. Okay, let's try to take care of that now. So, show through, we don't want. And see if we just, what happens if we just turn this off? Yeah, so what we have to do is in here, we have to add the wireframes, and then we have to actually remove the model, the original model. So sphere np dot sphere np dot node dot, let's see, What is it? Let's see here. I gotta do a quick Google search here. Let's see here, yeah. Let's see. These little Google AI mode things have actually been quite good at answering questions about Panda 3D, which is cool because it's a little bit of an obscure engine. It is well documented though, so let's see if this does what we want, and then we won't hide it. Whoops, is empty. Okay. This might be a little bit more complicated. So, oh, that's it. Okay, so node. Something like this, maybe. Let's see here. Yeah, I gotta remove all children. Yeah, now let's see here. Move only the visual. Let's see here. Let's see here. Maybe it's just the first child, right? That would probably make sense. Dot get child 0. Move. Just make sure that we're not. Nope. Okay. Just gonna spend like one more minute trying to fix this, and then if I can't, we'll go into something else. Sometimes it's. Let's see here. Because basically what we're doing here is we have this sphere, and then I have some functionality that is adding wireframes to it, but we want to basically delete that original sphere, but not the wireframes. So let me actually just review what's going on here. Okay, yeah, see, that's the problem. Let me just review how we were using this before, because I feel like we weren't having this same problem before. I just have it show through and then I hide that. But we can't do that here because we want to be able to hide the whole thing. That show through is the problem. Let's see here. When we update visibility. So I could just do this. I wonder if I could actually just use this update visibility. That should work. So this show through has to have, yeah. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this. So, show, yeah. Okay, so where's my thing in here? What is show colors? Let's see here. Show colors. Let's see here. Yeah, so I gotta keep that as true. Interesting. Now let's see. Do this. Show model false. Show wireframe true. Show true. All right. I bet this will do what we want. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. I'm just gonna add a little note to myself to like put the wireframe stuff somewhere more general. Okay. So yeah, more meters to kilometers. Correct the angular acceleration units. Key to enable and disable. Enable the orbits here, or show and hide it, I guess. Okay. Now. Actually, just because we're using this a couple, and we'll just name this stuff. Okay. And see now, when we press this, we should be getting the message that says like, oh, maybe not. I probably added it to the wrong. Yeah, I added it to the map mode, that's why. Next. Yeah, orbits toggle. There we go. Okay, so that's showing like right. Now, oh, here we go. This is one of my favorite white bad audio songs. Now, let's see here. HUD toggle. See, if we look here, the last one we can see is HUD toggle, but there's like 2 more lines here, so there's just too much. There's just too much here. We could delete a couple of these, but you know, what I think we want to have is like have like multiple help screens that maybe even have a title, right? So but the other thing we should probably do is, yeah, fix that relative velocity. That's starting to bug me, that velocity marker flickering like that when it shouldn't. Let's actually, yeah, let's actually go ahead and do that now. So, because that's just basically a simple subtraction. Let's close all this out here. So, in flight assist, you know, our velocity is our actual velocity minus our reference velocity, and that is just coming straight from ENT ref. So we basically just need to do the same thing in our HUD update. So extra gauges. So here, velocity. So, and yeah, okay. So this needs to take a reference velocity, just like flight assist. I'm just gonna do the same thing here, right? So if bpos ref is none, then bpos is going to be phys.bpos, else it's going to be bpos plus phys.bpos bpos ref. And you know, we could actually even simplify this so we can, in both spots, we can do something like this. It's not none. Not none. As minus equals. That's right. I think that should be legal. I'm starting, like, I used to favor sort of a more functional style like this. I'm starting to favor this kind of thing just because it's a little bit more brief. And basically here now, instead of using phys.vpause, we just want to use this. And I think, oh yeah, and we're going to do this velocity indicator too. So nice. Not hard at all. But I'm going to say somewhere we want to still show the global or absolute velocity, or like, let's see, relative to, yeah, actually global is just the best word. So we want to show the global velocity somewhere. Now, yeah, this is relative, right? So that takes care of this. Okay, this would be a place to show this is all absolute velocity, right? And this is fine because this is sort of a debug type functionality anyway. It's not really something that people would actually use, I don't think. But for this velocity indicator, we want to do this ref thing. So this ref is optional. Spec 3. Phys dot vpause ref ref, and then just continues this. And this actually, it's kind of silly, but this will actually make things a little bit faster too, because we're not, Python is dynamic, so every time we trace into these data structures, like, it's got to do these lookups, so it actually kind of makes sense to not be going into phys.vpause all the time. So if this was a compiled language, it would be a zero cost abstraction, probably. All right. Will it run? No. Division by 0. Oh, I bet I know what's going on. Screwed up here. Let's see here. Let's take a look at the Panda 3D fallback 3F. Vector 3F. We need to copy that guy. Probably the best way to do that is just this, and then we got to do that in the other spots too. Oh, this is actually probably why I was having some trouble with my missiles. Too. I noticed that the missiles weren't working. Let's see here. Pause. So the velocity indicator, the flight assist, and the targeting area here. Or not the targeting area, the info. Oh, the gauges update. We should spot it if something else is. Yeah, okay, so now we've got these things where we need to pull out vpause ref if we need it. And here I think we want to pass it in again. Because this thing is going to come down from the game object, like the main game state. So the info HUD. Walls. Probably one more spot here where we've got to update it. Okay, now we're still getting this map domain error. So I think we're still not. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Now, this looks more like what I was expecting. So now, and then we can see the real velocity if we want by turning off our reference point. Although that instantly collapses us, so we'll turn that reference point back on, and then our orbit grows back out. Oh, this is so cool. It's really cool to see this and just have it behave like you would expect it to, you know. You can see the eccentricity of it change. When you start or not the eccentricity, the inclination change. If I go like straight up. There we go. Why isn't my inclination changing? Oh. There it goes. Oh, that's why. Because my velocity limiter is stopping me. There you go. Yeah. Another thing I need to do is I need to separate these so that, like, when we're in the very common situation of being very close together, that we aren't overlapping. And actually, another thing that I should do too is I want to have a label for the planet. Because the planet has a name. Okay. Yeah. So fix velocity gauge and indicator to be relative. We could think about doing kilometers per hour as a unit for velocity too. I don't know how much that matters. Oh, I think one thing we should do here is let's actually just do a little code cleanup here. There was some stuff in Gamedev relating to this that we can move into this build. Actually, no, we can't, because this does some stuff using the game shaders. Actually, let's just make a little function here. Set up shaders, sphere. And then we actually are gonna default this to off. Let's see why. Actually, we can just do that right in the HUD. This might not, okay, I think I actually ran into this earlier today. This might not work. We might have to do it one level in, further in. Yeah, because it's still showing. So we can't hide it here. We actually have to hide the display NP, I think. So oh, it's not showing. Sad. Show model false, show wireframe true. There's these weird things that happen with prior. Oh, there's the problem. Do I just sometimes there's weird things that happen with priority, like we saw earlier, but that was just a simple bug. Oh, and now it's completely not working. So okay, that seems to be working now. Okay. Oh, and then this are there's a couple of places where this is kind of ugly, but all right. So Wrench 2474 in the chat says yo, and he says question, is Panda used to build everything in this project? So sort of. The game that you're looking at is Panda 3D. To build things in the project, so all of the content for this game is created with Python code, but that uses a lot of different tools. It uses NumPy, TriMesh, and then I have a pretty sizable sort of like programmatic 3D modeling library that I wrote myself in Python that's used. None of that code really goes into the game, though, so that's more of a content or like modeling thing that happens separate from the game. Does that answer your question? The music's going really hard right now. Okay, so Wrench2474 says, damn, 3D models library, are you going to make it public? So At one point, I did have it open source on my GitHub. Um, the the thing is, like, it's very specific to me, and and it mainly is just combining a lot of tools that I wouldn't say that I didn't write, but like, you know, there's like the TriMesh library, which is open source that you can use. TriMesh does Booleans with this really good Booleans library, stuff like that. So a lot of the functionality that I've added is kind of like either very specific to the way I'm modeling things, or it is kind of like designed to do things in ways that I like. And just oh, I don't have a public GitHub for this project. I'm thinking about doing that. When I do set one up, I will definitely talk about it more on this channel, but I don't have one right now. This was a while ago in a different spot that I had it public, but just an example of what I'm talking about with this mesh processing library. So like, let's actually just take a look. Let me just make sure that this is working, and then I will show you kind of like how things work here. So oops. So I'll just show you. Oh, what is going on? Why isn't that hidden? Come on. Do we still have a show 1 somewhere? It's funny the things that end up not working. Anyway, so the code that makes this ship model. So we have this fighter, right? Looks like this. The code that makes this is like this giant Python script. It's actually quite a bit longer than it has to be, because there's probably there's some high detail stuff here. So I have like high detail versions of these models as well. And the way it works is like, I like programming using simple data structures. So I have a very simple way of representing a model hierarchy and the relationships between the models called parts, where it's just basically a dictionary of 3D objects and their transformations and their parents and stuff to build the hierarchy. And then I have my own methods for like transforming meshes, scaling, slicing, things like that. And I have my own mesh class. So one of the things I don't like about the TriMesh library is that the mesh class is very complicated. It has a lot of like different properties. It handles like display properties, colors. It caches a lot of different things. And for me, I like to have things simple. So like a mesh is literally just vertices and faces as NumPy arrays. And that way, you know, we're never running into issues with things being cached that we don't want cached. You know, there's an extra computation or storage. Things are just very simple. And then I can easily convert back and forth from TriMesh when I need to But so a lot of my mesh processing stuff is like that, where I'm just trying to kind of put somebody else's functionality into a form that is more palatable to me, which is usually what I shoot for, is like the simplest way of explaining the data and the problem that I'm trying to solve. Not even necessarily like a more efficient way of doing things, but just simple. And that makes it good for sort of interactive coding. You know, another thing is, like, I wrote a lot of this before AI coding was a thing, and I'm probably not going to really use AI coding on this project because I kind of consider it to be art, and I don't like using AI for art related stuff. But you know, like, in the age of AI coding now, you sometimes don't have to worry about making libraries and wrappers to let you interact with things in a brief way, because you can just have AI do it. And then one advantage of doing things that way is, like, you avoid this layer of abstraction, right? So here I have me solving my problems, and I have this layer of abstraction that I've created, and then I've got these external libraries, right? With AI, you can just kind of skip the layer of abstraction because the AI is kind of like your abstraction. But here it's like, I don't want to interact with try-mesh meshes. I want to interact with a simpler way of describing a mesh. So that's a lot of what this library does. And I'll show you something kind of fun here. So I want to see if, yeah, so I'll just run it first. But this script basically generates all of the assets for the game, and it runs very, very fast because they're all like pretty low poly things. So if I turn this debug on, we should see all of them. So there's some old simple ones, some different ships, fighters, larger ships. And as this is running, like, as soon as I hit Q, right, and that time in between me hitting Q and the next ship showing, it's actually building all of those 3D meshes. So this is very, very fast. So some kind of fun stuff. Okay, we're gonna spend a couple more minutes trying to fix this visibility thing here, because that is making me mad. Why is this not hiding? What is showing this? If it's hidden, orbits toggle. Oh, I didn't actually fix this. Wait, no, I did. Oh my gosh. Okay, display MP. If it's hidden, it's UI folder. Oh yeah, that's right. It's these. It's these things that are. When these things turn on. Why doesn't hide one? Because this should make it priority over. Oh no, that's let's see here. Path. Hide it, yeah. That's not hide and show don't have priority. That's bit mask or camera mask. Okay, I think it's gonna be like show through something that I want here. What it's called, but will not hide. Things with show through. Am I still doing that show through? Is that the problem? Show through. Let's see if we can get rid of this now. We don't want this. We don't want. There we go. Okay. Man. All right. So we got that working. And I think, let's see. I wanted to make sure that we can see the global velocity somewhere. And I think we can see that in info. Yep. V target is 155. I could actually show a relative velocity in there. Why don't I do that? MFT. Actually, do I do this in here? Yeah, so I could actually do VT V. I could call this VG for global. And same thing as we were doing in those other functions. And let's see here. Hey, let's actually put the actual degrees symbol in these. We have the right units here, meters per second squared. Info. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Should probably do something similar for forces here, where I have the vector components for debugging and a length, but that's not like super duper important right now, I guess. There's some things we got to work out about this too. The the way it pops around like that is kind of annoying. I'd like to figure out a better way to display these. But okay. Let's see here. Fix. Oh yeah, let's fix that bug with the time acceleration. So there is something that happens when we do our time acceleration. So I changed it so that our time multiplier goes up by powers of 2. But then when we go backwards, it converts to a float multiplier. So this I think, is it just this that we need to do? Yeah, okay, so that was simple. Okay. Fix the message when we aren't turning on drift. That was drift. I usually have a period at the end of those. Hold. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to show accelerations as G's instead of meters per second on those gauges. I think it would actually be more useful. So let's do that quick. That should be easy fix. We can leave this to be meters per second, but for the gauges, so, and we can actually we can make it really easy to swap that in and out just by duplicating these, right? So basically here we can, that's interesting that I'm doing it this way. This might be before I knew how to do the modern formatting style. So what we want to do is just divide this by physics dot, let's see here. thrust G0, and this is now going to become G's. And let's just see if this looks like right. 12 G's. Yep. Oh, that's interesting. I've got key acceleration on the strafing. I wonder if I intended that. Need to do some other MFDs for that, for this one. I just have the targeting one, but there could be other things that might be useful. Cool. All right. Well, that takes care of that. We should move this out. Okay, we're kind of checking a lot of this stuff off. Was there another place? I don't think there's another place where we're showing accelerations. Oh, there it is. Actually, it's right here. I forgot about that. What is this? Why is it saying 0.6? Oh, that is absolute, I think. Oh, that's weird. Oh, that's just, it's just bouncing around because it's... It's like 0. That's something to fix. So like... It's 0. Yeah, where's that 0.6 coming from? Let's see here. Let's try to fix that. That's probably just let's see here. Excel. I think that's called like Excel. Yeah, that's why. Pause. That's why. And let's just fix this to be like the other ones. Phys.aPause dot length divided by physics.const.g0. And the, oops, yeah, that is, this is not the drive acceleration, but it's the actual total, the actual acceleration that is on us right now. So we have a 0.6, we have 0.6 G's on us that's pulling us towards the planet, which is making that orbit, which we would see if we turn this off. Actually, not that. If we turn this off, and then I will accelerate time here so we slow down. Okay. So now we're still, there's the 0.6 G's from the thruster. And our total acceleration is 0. It's really fun when you do all this stuff and all the math just kind of works out and it seems to be correct. Cool. All right. Well, I think that we got a lot of random stuff done. Actually, maybe one last thing. I think it's probably just a simple bug that velocity indicator is bouncing around at 0. Let's try to fix that. vpause.length if it's greater than this. Yeah, because this is relative now. We just need to increase this epsilon a little bit. Yeah, look at this. There's a little note I left myself. Let's see here. Just gonna note was 10e to the minus, or 1e to the minus 5. Lol. This might have to be somewhat smaller now. Oh, geez. Is my relative velocity really changing that much that that thing is bouncing around? That's kind of surprising. Pilot direction vec. It just has to be quite a bit bigger. I suppose if it's in meters per second, you know, some of those numbers might not be terribly big or terribly small. So, yeah, this is basically doing what we want it to now. And then if we, let's see here, the map is still scrolling relative to the global coordinate system, which we probably want to disable that, fix that too, but we can do that another time. And let's see here, what else? Yeah. That solves that. Anything else we want to fix? I think probably not today. I think we did a lot. I think one of the next steps is going to be some improvements to actually what we can just do, we can add a G to that indicator so we know what that is. I like to try to have units on everything. Now that kilowatts, let's see here. Kilowatts here. I think we want, generally we're keeping spaces between things, right? Yeah, just put a space between the number and the unit. This is really starting to look a lot more polished, which is what I was hoping to do tonight. And it's nice seeing this. It's nice seeing this as kind of a gut check. Actually, while we're at it, let's try to fix some of these labels on this orbits visualizer too. That'll just be like a good last exercise. If we don't get there, but that would be a nice thing to do. So here's what I'm thinking. So we're always reorienting the text to face how we're looking at things. And basically, when we update this, we're updating the position of the head. And I think that is, just wrote this the other night. I can't remember. This looks display text. Okay, we must be setting the position of that text. Okay, change this. Yeah, so there's the change angle. So this is the actual update. So pause head. So what we want to do is, based on an index or something, we want to just add a little angular offset. So this is long. We should probably break this up at some point. But let's just index in enumerate. Let's see, am I using index already here? Probably, yeah. So index. So we'll just add a little offset here. And we actually want to, we're going to calculate an offset, and then we're going to orient it by the quaternion here that we're using to do this. So actually, this guy, let's bring up to here. And then offset. So let's see here. We'll just start by saying 3.unit x. Just choose a small constant for now. pause head offset. And then we're going to rotate this by that flat quaternion. So flat dot xform this. But before we do that, we've got to rotate it by some amount. So offset dot, see here, so right equals, let's say it like, how did I do this? Let's see here. Could have sworn there was a way that I just did, and I'm trying to remember where I did it now, where I just made, is it just a mat 3? Mat 3 dot rotate mat norm axis. So we want to rotate around Y. F3 dot unit Y. Let's see, rotate axis degrees and then the unit. So we're going to rotate it by E index times what, 15 degrees, and then so offset plus equals offset take off dot x. X form. All right. Let's see if this does it. Yes. Except that is actually seems to be rotating the whole head position. Yeah, okay, so this needs to be pause head, and this needs to be pause head plus pause head offset. And that doesn't need to be so big, but let's just see. Is this gonna scale? Let's see here. As we zoom in and out, what we want to do is we want to have that offset go with the scale factor too. So let's see here. So we're gonna do this B times config dots. Let's see here. Where's my scale? Scale. Scale. Then we're going to see really quick if we did this right, if it transforms correctly with the rotation. Yes, it does. It seems to. Yep, it is. It does seem to be more or less transforming correctly with the rotation, but that's... Do we need to divide this by the scale? I think so. Yeah. Perfect. So now we just need to make this a little bit smaller. We need to make this angle a little bit bigger. Maybe 20 degrees. And we could actually subtract length of config.entityUIs like this. So something like this. Almost what I want, but this. So let's see, when we have two entities that we're showing, the first one is going to be at -2 or -1, and then the second one is going to be at 0. Is that kind of what it looks like here? One of them is, yeah. When really we want to split that difference. So what does that look like? Is it minus length -1? I think so. Let me think about this. So the x-axis is going this way. The z-axis is going this way. Means the y-axis is going forward. So we actually want to go backwards along this y-axis, I think. And let's just increase this to 35, give ourselves a little bit more room. So we'll go clockwise around. So we're first and then station. And I guess this just needs to be a little bit bigger. Yeah, okay. That's basically exactly what I wanted. And that should hold up to this. You can see there's a little bit of movement here, but it's just, that's just how it is. Cool. All right, well, another little feature just knocked out just like that. Oh, nice. Doug's still here. He says looks good. Thanks, Doug. Yeah, I'm very pleased with this. I feel like I've been trying to put some time into just polishing things, and I'm really pleased with how that's going. It's been really fun to try to actually polish this and make it look like something. And get some features in there that I've been wanting to get in for a long time. We've touched a ton of files. We've made a lot of little changes. I think it's time to call it a night. But yeah, it was successful. Basically, I had all this little stuff that I wanted to check off, and I think we pretty much did it. So, yeah. Now there's a few bugs that I found recently that I'll probably work on fixing offline. There's some collision bugs. There's a bug with missiles I saw that I'll have to fix. But in some future episodes, so let's see here, orbits. I'm just making a note here, orbits viewer, label offsets. Yeah, did a lot of stuff here tonight. In some future episodes, there's some animation type stuff. There's some quality of life improvements for the time scaling. Another big one is we need to update the skybox like planet positions as we actually move. And it would be nice if the time scaling stuff kind of worked well enough that we could move quickly and figure out some nice tests for that. But I think I got to think about how to make that test before we do that, because it would be kind of cool to show it not working and then show it working, even though it's a simple fix. So and then, you know, we can start adding some more planetary information and constants and things. So what I should do here is I should just have I should have planet info that I can build these things from. But yeah, there's definitely a few more things to do, sort of dealing with this physical accuracy thing that I'm kind of on right now. But I think probably a next step is going to be like figuring out some better tests and better ways to visualize this stuff, because that's kind of what the end goal is all about here, is like making cool visuals and things. So that's the end goal. Well, thanks to everybody who hung out. It's good to see you as usual, Doug. And yeah, thanks again, and hope everybody has a good night. Catch you later.